Good morning and welcome to the news on New Day. We come to you live from the John Hammond Street at Kanda here in Accra. My name is Judith Awache Tando. And the headlines this morning. Bank of Ghana official downplays calls for governor of the central bank to resign over 60 billion cedi losses on its books. Also this morning, government announces a new housing program, but there's debate over its validity and whether it is not merely a repetition of earlier initiatives that failed. Plus, rise in HIV cases attributed to decline in the spread of knowledge about the risk of the virus and funding challenges. And on the international front, Sierra Leone police arrest soldiers for undermining peace. Details of these stories and many more coming up shortly. Please do stay with us. Let's start in the Bank of Ghana, where it says that the domestic debt exchange program undertaken by government is to blame for the over 60 billion cedi losses on its books. This was in response to the public backlash on how the central bank made losses in 2022 in its audited financial statement. Head of research at the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Philip Abradotu, has been providing further explanations.
This is not going to impair our ability to continue to fight inflation. We will continue on the path of having stable inflation and ensuring financial stability in the economy. If you look at the reasons that I ascribed, there were internal and external factors, and especially is the impact of the domestic debt exchange that has impacted our balance sheet because it's a fiscal problem. So should the governor resign because of a debt exchange issue? I don't think so. The central bank's job of ensuring that the economy keeps running is a Herculean one. We have what we call moving currency, which we call specie movement to all corners of the country. And it's a very expensive operation. So you can imagine sitting in Accra and distributing currencies as and when we get calls that currency here is short, currency there is short. We move from down south to up north, everywhere, to distribute currency.
Let's do some stories on security now. And Interior Minister Ambrose Derry has commended the police for the arrest of some bullion van robbers. Here's a report.
Bullion van incidents were more rampant before, and then police made a move, and they had identified a first group and dealt with the group. We got some, respite from it. This last one we are investigating. We'll get them. I want to thank the public, because the public is having greater confidence in the police now, and they are collaborating by giving us information to get to the bottom of those things. You do know that we've made sure that we've started with registration of arms, even for the security agencies. We've done it for the police, we've done it for the immigration, and we continue to do that. Yes, the people have guns, yes, they do. But what are we doing? We're making sure we regulate them. I'm not sure you want to compare us to the United States, where every day there are several shootings. But what I want to emphasize is that we're taking steps to check it, and the police are very soon going to open a shooting range where they will train all those who have been given permission. But those who haven't been given permission would be dealt with according to law.
You heard Interior Minister Ambrose Derry there. Now moving on to some other stories. Director of the Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping and Training Center, Professor Kwesi, argues that ECOWAS actions in the Niger coup case undermined existing principles.
Chad's President Mahamat Idris Deby was in Niger leading a mediation effort on behalf of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, after a military junta seized power. The diplomatic move prompted Burkina Faso and Mali to issue a joint statement threatening that any military intervention by ECOWAS would be disastrous and destabilizing as they will withdraw from the bloc and go to the defense of Niger. The ECOWAS intervention, according to Director of the Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping and Training Center, Professor Kwesi Ening, is not proactive enough and wants ECOWAS to step in before situations escalate to coup.
Coup making begins when corruption becomes so rampant that the delivery of public services are undermined. Coup making is about telling stories and lies to the populace to win power. Coup making is about constitutional changes that allows governments to stay in power over and beyond the stipulated period. We need to remove the automaticity that says we will wait until the military intervenes, then we will crack the whip, and rather, or instead, begin to implement a series of graduated interventions that says when public appointees become horribly corrupt, that diverts critical resources away from development, that leads to the fear of hunger, the fear of poverty, the fear of insecurity, that ECOWAS can step in and then the peers can say, hang on, probably the way you are behaving is not right. Can you begin a process of looking at the actions of your ministers?
Professor Ening says all the international noise are not in the interest of the citizens of Niger, but for other interests, and stressed the need for a conversation and dialogue where respect and tolerance would be key.
Now, as of August 1st, hunting has been officially prohibited in Ghana, according to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Now, this decision is part of an annual tradition where a 3-month restriction is implemented to protect and preserve wildlife species and natural habitat.
The ban on hunting is a critical measure to ensure the sustainability of Ghana's rich biodiversity and to prevent the endangerment of various wildlife species. By refraining from hunting during this period, August 1 to December 1, the government aims to promote the conservation of animals and their ecosystems. Anyone found in violation of the hunting ban will be considered guilty of an offense and may face fines upon summary conviction. All other animal species are out of bounds, with the exception of grasscutter, for which a license must be obtained from the Forestry Commission's Wildlife Division before hunting during the period. This strict enforcement is aimed at deterring individuals from engaging in illegal hunting activities and reinforcing the significance of protecting Ghana's natural resources.
Our mission to protect and conserve the diverse wildlife that graces our nation's forests is not just a duty, it is a privilege and also a calling. Together, we are guardians of nature's wonders, entrusted with the task of ensuring their survival and flourishing amongst the challenges of the ever-changing world that we find ourselves today.
By implementing this prohibition, the government is sending a strong message about the importance of wildlife conservation and environmental protection.
Important interventions seek to regulate the utilization and curb the decline of wildlife resources in the country. This ensures sustainable use of the resources while serving as a respite for animals during their critical breeding periods.
It also serves as a call for all citizens to play their part in safeguarding Ghana's natural heritage for future generations.
We are doing this because we want everyone to understand that the animals will have their own rights. It's illegal to beat somebody or to hurt somebody or to kill somebody. In the same way, within these months, they too will enjoy the same rights as human beings.
Through collective efforts and responsible actions, the nation can continue to cherish its diverse wildlife and contribute to the global conservation efforts.
Now to some more stories. The Ministry of Works and Housing has been directed to consider disposing of the Sagami Housing project, covering 1,506 units, to a private sector entity. President Akufo-Addo gave the directive at a sword-cutting ceremony to commence a national affordable housing program, emphasized that attempting to complete the project would have incurred more debts. Here's a report.
With a little over a year to the end of an 8-year term of office for the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, a new project is set to commence under his government. The construction of an 8,000 affordable housing unit set to be completed in the next 18 months on this 203-acre piece of land. The project, according to the government, will be in 2 phases. The first phase, which is meant to cover 4,000 housing units within 18 months, and the remaining 4,000 units to be completed within the same frame of time.
Unlike the previous efforts, this revised program stands out as distinct and exceptional in multiple ways.
But one may ask, what happens with the Sagami Housing project, which till date remains a white elephant? First, let's go back in time. The Sagami Housing project, initiated in 2012, was meant to deliver to a tune of 5,000 housing units. However, only 1,506 units were delivered at 98% of the 200 million costs allocated at the stipulated time.
Government has to raise additional financing to the tune of 46 million United States dollars to complete the off-site infrastructure works. 68 million United States dollars are required to complete the buildings and other essential on-site infrastructure works.
There were, however, some concerns raised about the ownership of the land situated on the Pokwase-Amasaman stretch.
The land was acquired by government in 1949 for agricultural purposes, and now government is using it for affordable housing for the public to utilize. We engage the families, we also do a lot of engagement with the chiefs and the elders, and through the process we also realized there were 1 or 2 problems that we were able to solve.
In terms of costs for the National Affordable Housing Program, a studio apartment will have a maximum unit price of $13,800. A 1-bedroom will cost $20,700. A 2-bedroom will cost $34,500, and a 3-bedroom apartment will cost $42,550. Judith Awochitando, TV3 News, Pokwase, Accra.
But the minority in parliament is fighting back, describing the Pokwase Affordable Housing Project as illegal since it has no parliamentary approval. MP for Bodi and former Deputy Housing Minister Samson Ahi criticized the president for what he termed as his flagrant disregard for due process.
Order paper. Page 8, under laying of papers. This particular project is supposed to be laid in Parliament today. This has not been done, which means the EPC agreement has not been approved in Parliament. So if you have presented such a document to Parliament for approval, it has not even been laid. Yet we are there cutting salt to commence work. What does that mean? Is it a slap on Parliament? Is it a disrespect to government structures or what? We were supposed to do it yesterday, but we raised these important questions and we are waiting for response from them, from the ministry, but they have gone ahead and cut so. And because we want to support any cause that provides homes for Ghanaians, we will support it, but we will not support what is illegal because it hasn't seek or it hasn't sought for parliamentary approval.
Now, away from affordable housing, enforcement on a ban of tricycle taxis within the central business district of Kumasi has taken effect, but not without confrontation. Now, some operators and the police clashed when the riders were prevented from accessing the restricted areas.
The enforcement of a directive to restrict tricycle taxis from entering the central business district of Kumasi nearly turned chaotic when the riders clashed with the police. A reinforcement team had to be called in to maintain law and order.
This is a busy area. This is where the human beings are. This is where people work. This is where we get people to pick and to take monies from them. So if you are saying we should work outskirts, who are we going to? We cannot work with trees. We work with human beings.
Their problem is we are causing traffic at Adum. We are spoiling people's cars at Adum. But it is never true.
8 of the riders who did not comply with the directive were arrested, and this even infuriated some of the youth. The police and KMA have decided to re-strategize by trying to persuade the riders not to enter the restricted zone. KMA did not come here to fight nor cause any arrest. We came here to sensitize and educate because we want implementation of the ban to be voluntary. But some were arrested because they attacked the men in uniform.
The General Assembly did not say they do not need the services of tricycle operators. They said restrict their movement to certain areas outside the CBD. If we have any grievances, we'll package them and present it to the Privileges Committee of the Assembly.
Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
Now, Islam in awareness creation about the dangers of HIV/AIDS due to funding challenges must have caused an increase in infections in the country. Over 16,000 new infections were recorded last year alone, 2,000 cases more over that of last year.
The total number of persons living with the disease increased to 354,927, bringing the country's prevalence rate to 1.66%, a slight increase from that of last year. The Greater Accra region has the largest infection rate of 23%, followed by Ashanti region 20.4%, and Eastern region, with the Northeast region recording the lowest rate of HIV population. Over 9,000 AIDS-related deaths were also recorded, while females continue to dominate the figures, with mother-to-child transmission remaining a challenge. Funding remains the major challenge confronting the management of the disease in the country. Though stigmatization of persons with the disease remain low, many people have failed to test to know their status. Perhaps the self-testing approach will change this.
We will want to see a much sharper decline, a much steeper decline for us to achieve epidemic control by the year 2030. But as it looks, it is not promising at all. And so we have to continue, doubling our efforts to ensure that we reach the coverage levels.
According to the Commission, there is a new findings that proves a person with low viral load cannot transmit the virus to another.
What it means is that if you are HIV positive and you are on treatment and you continue to adhere to your treatment judiciously, then you will not be able to transmit HIV sexually.
The National AIDS Control Program is working at bridging the gap of transmission from mother to child.
We had about 24,000 children who are estimated to be living with HIV. And our research, our data shows that 83% of that figure was gotten from mothers who have HIV who transmitted to their children.
The general public is encouraged to get tested and seek early treatment. Sarah Apenko, TV3 News, Accra.
On the international front, Sierra Leonean police have arrested several people, including unarmed senior military officers, for working to undermine the peace and tranquility of the state. In a statement, police said those arrested were planning violent protests between 7th and 10th August. Police accused unarmed individuals at home and abroad of plotting to undermine the peace in the country. They said they were fully in control and urged Sierra Leoneans to remain peaceful and go about their normal businesses. Unease has gripped the West African country since the controversial re-election of President Julius Maada Bio on 24th June. On 5th July, Bio accused Western countries of creating confusion in the country after they expressed concern over the conduct of June's election. Now, the country has enjoyed relative peace since the end of an 11-year-long civil war in 2002. And that's all for the 6 a.m. news here on TV3. My name is Judith Awoche Tando, and of course, Roland, Bella, and Cookie are with me in the studio the rest of New Day. Good morning.
Morning. Today you're almost matching with Cookie.
Yeah.
Almost. This week we've been doing a lot of matching, eh?
Yeah, we have actually.
How you doing, girl?
I'm great, and you?
We didn't say it. It could be early morning.
The smile is a little...
it's off, eh?
Are you worried about the 100,000 people with HIV?
It's off.
Is it fatigue or is the 100,000 HIV
that's
infections?
As for that one, I think we've heard enough of that. It's normal, right? A lot of questions.
How is it normal?
We've had a lot.
It's scary, Judith.
Oh,
that 100,000 people or more may be walking about with HIV, infections, and they don't even know.
You have to be careful. At this point, you can't really change the number of people who have been infected. So it's up to you to be careful. Ghanaians just have to be careful.
Where careful means abstain or use?
Both. You can either abstain if you can, or then you can, of course, use protective measures. So
it is well.
Yeah, I'm even more bothered about the affordable housing project.
More about that.
You're bothered that when it's completed, you can't even afford a studio apartment, right?
It's good for what, like $13,000? So that's like, let's say times 12. Yes. Times 12.
Yes.
So about 1.2 million thereabouts. Maybe 1.3 million.
Affordable.
Some days